Welcome to the April 2018 Leading Edge webinar series from CCMA. I am Mike St. Pierre, your host and Executive Director of CCMA, the Catholic Campus Ministry Association. This month, we are talking about Called 2018, the National Catholic Campus Ministry Convention, and we are really, really excited to share with you some of the details that you might not be familiar with. Our special guest is Katie Diller, and I'll introduce Katie in just a second. A couple of announcements before we get going. First of all, this webinar is being recorded and will be distributed most likely through YouTube afterwards. And so if you miss this live, and why would you miss this live? But if you did, you'll be able to share this with perhaps colleagues or people in your geographical area who you'd like to invite to Called, but maybe they haven't signed up just yet. This might be just the thing that could help them make the decision to go to what we feel is a most significant event in their ministry and in their career. So that's that. Also, I want to give you a teaser that at the end of this webinar, we'll be talking about $50 in free resources that you'll be getting at Called if you sign up. But I want you to make sure you listen to the entire webinar, so I'm not going to tell you what those are just yet. With that said, I'm pleased to introduce the chairperson of the convention, and that is Katie Diller. Katie, if you would, please introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Katie Diller. I'm the Director of Campus Ministry at Michigan State University's Student Center. That's St. John Catholic Church and Student Center. I'm also the Diocesan Coordinator for Campus Ministry in the Diocese of Lansing. I've been in campus ministry, this is I think the end of my 10th year, which is crazy, but I am super excited to be a part of putting together Called 2018, and I just can't wait to get there myself.
It's going to be really fun, and we feel like it's going to be more than fun, but boy, it's something to look forward to. So I think, Katie, we're kind of excited about some of the things we have to share today.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, with that said, let's get into things. And my slides work here, then here's what we'll do. So first of all, if you're listening to this webinar, you're probably registered already and you're a little bit curious as to, well, what's going to happen at the event and who's going to be there and that sort of thing. Or maybe you're on the fence and you're still thinking about registering. Well, we're hoping that this webinar is going to either nudge you over the finish line to help you to get registered, or is going to affirm and confirm the choice that you've already made to attend Called. So we're really excited about that. First of all, let's look at kind of the big picture of this event. And I call it, Katie, the helicopter view or the airplane view. In other words, if I'm 30,000 feet above Earth, I can see almost everything. I've got kind of the big picture. And you were one of the chief architects in making sure that Called is not just another event where we just throw a lot of spaghetti against the wall and hope for the best, but there's actually a narrative arc and an approach to this. And I'd like you to share now, what is this narrative arc of the convention?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, in anticipating the synod in the fall on youth and young adults and on discernment, we felt like we wanted to connect to that exploration the church is doing right now on how to help young adults find their calling. That's what the Pope is calling us to do, and that's what we want to call our campus ministers to do as well. So looking at this conference, like you said, there's a lot of conferences sometimes that you attend where you just pick a workshop or a keynote address kind of out of a hat and you kind of create your own adventure. We wanted this year, our convention committee, to walk through day by day the phases of conversion and ministry and sending, and then attend to our own professionalism as well. So day one really looks at pre-evangelization and evangelization issues. For those in Catholic colleges, we look at how do you work well with the residence halls, how do you build those relationships in order to create an environment where campus ministry can get into the residence halls and evangelize well. How do we have front door programs that bring students in and create that bridge of trust to begin a ministry, maybe with freshmen, but to begin a ministry relationship that will carry through their 4 years or 6 years in your institution. So that's day one, really a focus on evangelization and pre-evangelization. Day two is really the meat and potatoes of campus ministry, empowered by the Spirit, the document that the bishops wrote that we all know so well. How do we have a good retreat program? How do we send students on a positive alternative spring break experience? This sort of counseling issues that come up all the time. The stuff that we do every day as campus ministers, let's take a whole day and focus on that. Day 3, we turn to a focus on sending. We're trying to form our students for vocation, for maybe the vocation to marriage, the vocation to a celibate vocation, priesthood, religious life, consecrated life. We are trying to send our students into the world to be politically active young Catholics, to work for social justice, to live lives dedicated to Catholic social teaching. There's so many things that we want to send them into the world to be that salt and light that we believe young people to be. So that third day, we really focus on how we help them find their calling, how we help them learn stages of discernment. And then finally, the last day, the Friday, we focus on our own professionalism, how to hire well, how to create a good job description, how to keep balance as a ministry professional. So that's sort of the arc that we're hoping to follow in this called conference. And I'm really proud of it. I'm excited. And I think everybody will find something as they go through that narrative of their week to recreate or breathe new life into their own ministries.
And it's interesting for anybody who's gone to a conference or a convention. It takes a lot of discipline to kind of identify and articulate a story arc to a particular event, but then also to stick with it. I mean, we've certainly had a lot of people as in the months leading up to Called who've said, "Hey, you should do this, or you should throw that in," and some of them we've said yes, but some of them also we've said that doesn't really fit into what we want to do. So what we'd like to do next is look at 5 reasons why you should consider attending Called. And the first one is that this is going to be not just a conference or a workshop or a seminar, but this is a faith experience. We really believe that Called 2018 is going to boost your faith and maybe even transform your faith. Maybe you're listening to this and you're saying, I'm a little tired right now in my campus ministry. I don't know how much gas I have left in the tank. Or maybe you're feeling really fantastic and you have a lot of energy left in your ministry. We really believe that Called 2018 is going to boost and really give your faith and your relationship with the Lord space to grow. And so you'll see from morning prayer to daily mass, a very prayerful environment. You'll see permission to unplug and just reconnect with the Lord. And I kind of see Called as this interesting experience where, yes, it's work, but it's also a bit of a retreat and it's that experience of learning. So that's the first reason why we think you ought to attend Called. And the second one is what Katie's going to cover.
Sure. So I've been going to campus ministry conferences through CCMA for 10 years, basically. And one of my favorite parts is really connecting to other campus ministers in the field. Some of us have probably been asked by family or friends, what do you do in your job? You're a campus ministry, so you just like hang out with college students and like play games and stuff. Sometimes people don't quite understand all of the strain sometimes on a campus minister, the excitement, the variety of things that we do. We do everything from being a travel advisor to program director, budgeter, and we do so many different things. And sometimes it's only other people in our fields who understand all the things that we go through, the late nights, the weekends, our passion, but sometimes also our fatigue. So running into all these campus ministers is really a blessing. People that I've run into at previous conventions have been mentors. I've seen my old campus ministers from when I was a college student and when I was a graduate student, and that has meant the world to me. People who inspired me, people who really formed my idea of what it means to be a lay woman in ministry. People who listened to me and my discernment story when I was young college student, young grad student, trying to figure out, is this really what God's calling me to? And that has been a treasure. The coffee that you grab with your old campus minister at this convention is just treasured time. Now that I've been in the field for 10 years, I'm starting to see former students who have joined the field, and that's so beautiful too, because you see your fruitfulness. The fruitfulness of your ministry. You get to catch up, hear their stories, and just kind of reignite that glow in your heart that you see in them now. Another bunch of people that I always love seeing is former colleagues and friends from graduate school. You spend 2, 3 years studying theology with other colleagues and friends, and you stay up late, you study together, you have these intimate relationships, you go on retreats together, but then you get spread out in different jobs, different ministries all over the country sometimes. And it's great to see them, see those friends, and find out where they've gone. There's also a blessing in, some people do some networking at these conventions. You might find a toehold for your next position, actually. If you're somebody who is starting to look for a new staff member, you might be looking around and meeting people and thinking, who can I recruit for my ministry? You might be looking to see, who out there is recruiting. So those are a lot of great opportunities. And then finally, when you connect to other campus ministers, sometimes people right in your own state or your own region stand out to you as potential next speakers for your next speaker series. Or, this campus minister at the neighboring university, you didn't know them, they were recently hired, but man, they would be a fantastic speaker for your men's group or for your next retreat. So there's so many opportunities to network, get together with other people in your field. It's so rich. I mean, I just feel like I could go on and on, but this is really a huge blessing to coming to one of these conventions.
Yeah, no question. And, in the months or years after something like Called, your relationships are going to be deeper. You're going to pick up the phone, you're going to shoot somebody an email or a text. And in some cases, those would not be possible if it weren't for coming to the convention. So I definitely echo that. Reason number 3 is cutting edge speakers. And you can see the list here of all the different speakers, but it is a balanced group. It is a dynamic group. It's an exciting group of speakers. And I think I can think of at least 2 reasons why speakers are really important. I mean, one, they keep us fresh, and we've got to continue to be learning and growing as professionals. And second, as Katie said, you might want to invite some of these people to your campus. And I don't know about you, Katie, but I don't like to invite somebody to speak unless I've heard them personally or I've had somebody I respect and trust have said, yes, you can trust the speaker. This person's really, really good. So these are some really excellent speakers, and we encourage you to really soak it in, to get to know them. These are very down to earth speakers where you can talk to them before and after they give a workshop or a presentation. Many of them are published authors, and I just think it's pretty fantastic. One thing I do, it's a little dorky, but before a convention, I look at the speaker list, and if there are key people that I want to meet, I will email them. And I'll say, I don't know if you're free before or after your talk, but can I get 10 minutes of your time and buy you a cup of coffee? More often than not, speakers will say yes. Unless you're John Bon Jovi, a lot of the speakers that we have coming to Called, John Bon Jovi's not one of them. They are very, very open and eager to give back to this profession. And so you might find that there are some really, really great relationships and professional friendships that come out of these speakers. So that's reason number 3. And reason number 4.
Hey, Mike, can I just say one other thing about reason number 3?
Sure.
Those of us on the convention committee, we have heard all these folks, and that kind of speaks to our passion for the idea that they are compelling speakers. They are people who tell compelling stories. And we wouldn't have invited anybody that we didn't trust and find inspiring ourselves.
Yeah, good
So
point.
we're super excited about those folks.
We are. Yeah, good point. All right, you want to go over number 4?
Absolutely. So reason number 4 is really, in ministry, the best way to gain perspective is to step away from the hustle and bustle of your daily schedule. And summer is really the time that we have as campus ministers to do that. When we set the time, during the academic year or during the year for this convention, it's so hard because, we all want to break in the middle of winter. Especially me being from the Midwest, I would have loved a little beach time in January. But the truth is, the crush of busyness, mid-year, or the crush of busyness in August, and that time that's so sacred to be with your family, in July, really just led us to the end of May. And to be able to begin your summer, begin that sort of freer time to plan, to budget, to track down some great speakers, rework your programming. May is really the time to do that, to step back and get that perspective. one thing that can be challenging to all of us in ministry is we often realize that we're doing too much. I know I struggle with that. Um, but sometimes it's actually easier to keep doing more because you're used to it and it's a part of the routine, than it is to kind of gain that courage to cut, but sometimes stepping away, getting some perspective, talking to other people in the field about what's really important, can give you the courage that you need, and then really give you partners in doing the hard thing, which sometimes really is saying, we need to snip this out of our schedule because it's no longer as fruitful as it once was.
Okay, that's good. It's important to step away, and Called is going to give you that green light to do that. The fifth reason is that really this event Called, it could literally produce your next breakthrough idea. And many of the most effective Catholic campus ministry programs around the country are very simple. They do just a couple of things really, really well. And we believe that through networking and interacting with your peers, through prayer, through hearing speakers, that Called could actually be the environment where you get your next amazing idea. It might be in the middle of the day, or it might be when you go back to your hotel room at the end of the day and you're jotting some notes down, or you're journaling, or even you're praying. And I don't know about you, Katie, but when I go to a conference, if I just get one or two great ideas out of it, that is worth it for me. And so, we think that that's another good reason that you might want to consider attending Called. I don't know, Katie, if you have any thoughts on that, or if you've ever had that experience going to a conference.
Absolutely. We all have our weaker spots or our blind spots. Being a woman, for example, I don't always have the greatest ideas for how to bring in, the college guys or to minister well to our college men's group. I've specifically gone to workshops at CCMA conventions in the past, in areas of ministry that I personally was weak in,
Mm,
to gain some ideas, some perspective, some things to bring back to my team to say, hey, they're doing this at Washington State.
mm,
Could we model that? Could we take a look at that?
mhm.
Um, because we all have those weaknesses and blind spots, and the responsible thing to do is to look for a solution.
Right. There's people out there who are doing what you're probably struggling in. They're having success, and you might be able to replicate some of their ideas. So we want to refer you to a couple of resources on the Called website, and that's ccmanet.org/convention 2018. And from there, you can also nominate a dynamic program for our Exemplary Ministry Awards, which we'll be announcing at the event. And that's through ccmanet.org/awards. You may also want to, after today's webinar, tell people on Facebook or Twitter, or Snapchat, Instagram, wherever you hang online, that you're going to be going to Called 2018. Just use the hashtag Called 2018. And with that said, I also want to mention just two other things that are, I think, kind of interesting, and I mentioned these at the top of the webinar. The first is that when you attend Called, you're going to get in your welcome bag over $50 in free ministry resources. You're going to get at least 3 books, which you would pay an awful lot of money for, and they're just part of your registration. So that's exciting, and you're going to need to leave some extra room in your duffel bag because you're getting at least 3 books as well as some other resources. So that's over $50 in free resources. And then the last thing I want to mention is just a word of gratitude to all of our sponsors. Again, go to ccmanet.org/convention 2018. You'll see all the colleges, all the organizations who are behind this event. And one in particular that stands out is the Evangelical Catholic, who is our platinum sponsor. And we're just extremely grateful to the EC for all of the ways that they have backed and supported and are really evangelists for this particular event. So thank you to EC. Katie, any last words?
No, I just can't wait to see everybody there. I just want to see every campus minister in the country at this convention. I'm so excited about it.
And it's certainly an understatement, but it is going to be great. It really is. So, Katie, thank you so much for your time. I know it's a busy time of year as the academic semester wraps up. Thank you to all who have been watching or participated. You can always watch this on YouTube. We'll let you know when it goes live. And with that said, have a great day.